What's up, guys? Coach Vassar. Welcome to OTF Audio Daily Beats. Welcome to October. Appreciate you for tuning in, listening to me talk about these workouts. As always, if you find value in them, please let me know. Information is in the description to support me. If you don't find value in them, well, also let me know. What could I do differently to provide you some insight to set you up for success when it comes to coaching these templates? We're looking at October 1st, which is on Wednesday. This will repeat on Thursday, the 16th. We'll see strength on the treads, power on the rower, and strength on the weight floor. As always, we'll talk about 2G and then finish up with the 3G. So on the 2G, key concepts today, for the treads, we have 6 blocks. Each is a 3-minute push. Set your speed in block 1 and keep it as the incline climbs each block. For the rower, you have a 150-meter all-out row each time you go to the rower. And on the floor, block 1 pairs an upper body drop set with a lower body exercise. Block 2 burns out the core. Remember to count your reps. You'll need dumbbells out for today, so just keep that in mind. So when we look at the treads, 6 blocks, 3 minutes of work, followed by a 1-minute walk recovery. Optionally, get back to base when they're ready. On paper, what we're going to see is that 3-minute push over time will start at an incline during the final 30 seconds and then start sooner. So you could treat it like a ramp up where you start flat road, and then over time it gets higher and higher and higher. Knowing the goal is to maintain their speed, ideally they start with a conservative push where the first 1, 2, or 3 blocks, at least 1 and 2, definitely not too bad. But once we start hitting that point of fatigue with minimal recovery, because remember, they're only getting a 1-minute walk, it's going to feel a lot harder, especially as the incline creeps up on them every time. So power walkers, they're going to start at a 4% incline or greater. I would encourage them to try to increase their walk speed for their push uphill. And then rather than cranking up the incline a lot, because they're going to add incline anyways, just try to have a fast walk speed on that first block. Once again, it should feel, even though it's a push and it's uncomfortable, it's going to be more of a challenging but doable push, if that makes sense. Joggers and runners, probably keep it on that lower end, about 1 over their base. For the bikes and striders, they just recommend holding a push gear and optionally increase the gear on the later blocks. So start with 3 gears over base for like blocks 1, 2, 3, and then block 4, 5, and 6. See if they could do 4 or 5 gears over base. And of course, if that gets too tough, they can always go back to their 3 gears over base. Okay, so they start with that 3-minute push, take a 1-minute walk. What they'll notice is they'll probably tap into that high green, low orange about 2 minutes in, last 30 seconds because they're fresh. So right as they start to tap into that orange, we're hitting that walk, heart rate drops, and they'll probably be able to get right back to base pretty quick. Now, block 2, they started with that speed, but during the final 30 seconds, they add 0.5% incline. Power walkers are actually going to go a full percent up though. So power walkers 5% or greater, joggers and runners, tap that up arrow one time, 1.5. Okay, and then block 3, the 2-minute mark, they will then start adding incline. So start flat road push for 2 minutes, and then 1.5, finish at 2. The next one, 1.5, 2, 2.5, and then up to 3, and then the final block, they crank it all the way up to a 3.5% incline. So for the power walkers, they will eventually get as high as 9% incline or greater. So that's just something to keep in mind. That's why it's going to feel pretty good at the beginning, but as they hit block 4, block 5, they might take that full minute to recover because they're going to see their heart rate trend up higher and higher and higher after every block, which means, of course, as they accumulate fatigue, it's going to take longer for that heart rate to come down, and it's not going to come down as low, okay? But that's it. Once they finish their 6 blocks there, hopefully they maintain that push speed all the way through and conquered those hills. Bikes and striders, of course, keep their RPMs over 60, and if they can maintain about 4 gears over base on those last few blocks, that'd be great. At least 3 gears over base, though. Now, when we look at the weight floor, we're going to see 2 blocks. Block 1 is 19 minutes. There's a 1-minute transition to get them set up for a core burnout for block 2, which is 3 minutes. Okay, so block 1, we got back-to-back drop sets. So you have a shoulder press for 6 to 10 heavy reps into an AMRAP of the reciprocating shoulder press. And of course, 5 to 10 pounds lighter. This is a great day where if your studio has the Y bells and you have the members who are like, they're using the 20s, the 15s, maybe do 20 and then the 18-pound Y bells, or someone's using the 15 and try the 14-pound Y bells, rather than making like a 15 down to 10, so they have those little in-between weights to kind of play around with. Or they start with the 26-pound Y bells and then go to the 22 Y bells or 26 to 25-pound dumbbells, right? So definitely cater that to the members, give them that opportunity to use that equipment, especially in a 2G since they don't usually use them. So let them use them for drop sets. It's a great idea. The other thing too is when it comes to weight selection, of course, you might not have enough weights. So one thing you could have people try to do is using that moderate weight for 6 to 10 reps. When they go into that reciprocating, could they slow it down for more time under tension to try to get as many extra reps there? Take that recovery, and then they go to a lower body exercise with that alternating sumo deadlift. Now the key thing with that step out alternating sumo deadlift, it's all about the position and the stability of the knee as they step laterally and minimize any shift in that knee as they hinge back. Of course, if that does bother in the knees, they could keep it a standard sumo deadlift, take out that step, 6 to 10 total reps. Then they'll head to the rower, knock out a 150-meter all-out row. Make sure they check and remember their time because they're trying to match or beat that time every time they go back to the rower. When they come back to the floor, now they're going to do low row and reciprocate in low row. Obviously, they're going to be in a hinge position if people have lower back issues. A great alternative for this is to do the regular strap low row. And then for the reciprocating, they do recommend going into a split stance single arm low row or a strap single arm low row and essentially do like a burnout on one arm and then a burnout on the other. Okay. After that, grip probably fatigued, upper back probably exhausted, take the rest, and then we're going to have that forward lunge with torso rotation, goblet position. So of course, upper back's exhausted, so you're going to see people round over, so work on them trying to stay up tall, pinched back, and then as they step forward, whichever leg's in front, they rotate. Another alternative, of course, they could do reverse lunges, or if you have the space in your studio and you have benches out, they could do a step up and rotation just to mix it up. Mostly because, once again, lunges, it's all about unilateral work, so rather than have people straight to a squat, try to get that single leg work by doing step ups or reverse lunges. Then they'll hit that row again for 150-meter rows, and then they go back to the shoulder press. Communication with members would be very beneficial on this one to help share weights, especially if you don't have a lot of extra weights or you don't have a lot of duplicates of specific weights. Like if you only have 2 sets of 30s and 2 sets of 35s, those might be a hot commodity. So definitely have members like maybe pair up and, hey, while you're doing the shoulder press, I'll do the deadlift and then we'll switch. That way they can keep moving. The second block, this is going to be the core blast. It's very simple. It's just 2 different core movements, 30 seconds each. It's going to time up with the treads as well because the treads, they start with that 30-second flat road push. Weight floor is going to be holding a low plank. When the treads add incline, then they're going to switch to a full V up, but we're going to count reps. The next plank is almost active recovery because then they're going to try to match or beat the reps on the next set of full V ups. Hold the plank and then one more full V up. That is absolutely brutal on the core and on the hip flexors. So if you have people who started on the floor, those hip flexors are going to be on fire, which is going to make that hill work even more challenging. And then same thing for the people who just finished the treads. By the time they get to the weight floor and they hit this, those hips are toast. So expect to see a lot of form breakdown or people taking a lot of rest and recovery, or even like they're swinging their arms to get up. So definitely be there, give them those options. For the low plank, they recommend dropping down to the knees. Also, the body angle, if they do a high plank, it is higher, it is easier. Sure, it's not easier on the wrist, but it is easier on the core since there is less load on the body. And then instead of the full V up, they do recommend going into a body weight crunch. Obviously limiting the amount of flexion and it takes the hip flexors out because it should be just the upper abdominals that they're using to flex the spine and then come back down as they keep their hips stable. Okay. Now, when we look at the 3G for this workout, we're going to see 4 blocks on the treads, followed by 1 long block on the rower, and then 2 blocks on the weight floor. So for the tread side, it's set up very similar to the 2G. Block 1, you have your 3-minute push to kind of set the standard, but the walk recovery is only 45 seconds. Okay, so during the first and second block, they'll probably walk, get right back to base, but by the third block, they might need the full time. The big thing here is we skip the first the second block in the 2G, so we go from that flat road push for 3 minutes, and then in block 2, it'll be a 2-minute push, and then 1.5, and then 2%. Block 3, 1-minute push, and then 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, and then the final block is the final block from the 2G, so 30-second flat road, and then they finish at 3.5% incline. The main thing, and back to the 2G as well, that final push, because of the work they've done, it should feel very uncomfortable, not necessarily take it to an all out. So they should still see like a high orange, maybe even tap into the red. Definitely need that walk on the other side. Okay, now looking at the rower, 1 long block here, 14 minutes and 15 seconds. They're going to do a circuit deconstruct. So they're going to have a Y belt squat to angled press. So Y belt or med ball, goblet position, they'll squat down, stand up tall, press up and out at a 45-degree angle for 10 reps, 200-meter all-out row. And then they're going to try to match or beat their time. Then they're going to do a squat to calf raise, 200-meter all-out, then just the angled press, 200-meter all-out. And then they do all of that again with 150, and then do it all again with 100 meters. And then after that, they go to the bonus, which is just a 50-meter all-out rack and recover. So tap new interval, grip it, rip it for probably 6 to 8 strokes, rack it up, let the water settle, do it again, take note of about the time it took you, and then match your beat. Okay. Now the weight floor, this is actually just the 2G stuff, just without the rower for that first block. They'll have 10.5 minutes here. So shoulder press paired up with reciprocating shoulder press, rest, sumo deadlift, and then low row, reciprocating low row, rest, and then goblet alternating forward lunge with torso rotation. And then they're going to have that same core blaster in that final block. So low plank, full V-ups, count, remember reps, match your beat on the second and third attempt. Yeehaw. Whew. Anyways, that's all I got for you for Wednesday, October 1st, and Thursday, October 16th. Coach you down.